Hello, everyone. A bit of a different interview that I am doing today because I am talking to Levitate, who is not an LCS player and unfortunately also not an NACL player, pretty close to it, but someone who came up through the amateur scene and I think has an interesting story that's very relevant to all the conversation that's been going on these days because you guys actually qualified in with your team to the NACL and you will not be in the NACL completely separate from everything else that's been happening right now with the conversation around the LCS stuff. So, first off, thank you for doing the interview with me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
So, let's talk a little bit about what happened. You can give me sort of your timeline or your story of Team Tony Top, which was the team that you played for and competed on that qualified in. So, maybe a little bit of background if you can.
Yeah, so Team Tony Top, it was basically just a group of five friends that came together last minute to play in the open qualifier in hopes of promoting to the NACL, which we accomplished. It was pretty spontaneous. I did not know that it was happening literally until a week before the tournament. So, yeah, just a group of five friends coming together and looking to promote to the NACL.
And so you guys played together. I mean, this is very much like the old Five Guys in a Dream situation that people remember from the original Cloud9 lineup and all that stuff. And you guys actually did quite well. Can you talk a little bit about what your performance was like in this series?
Yeah, so honestly, this was my first split in amateur, and so I had no idea like how we would fare with the others. But as the tournament progressed through the first and second one, I think we as a team realized that we had a lot of potential, and we didn't really know how the NACL teams were, obviously, because we're playing in a separate tournament. But at least with the open qualifier teams, we were confident and we proved that we were the top, like one of the top teams in there. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with our performance. I think we showed that we were NACL level and ready, but sadly things fell through.
All right. And so a little bit of background for those that maybe are more focused on the LCS and don't follow the development leagues, but and you can correct me if I'm wrong on all this stuff because it's not something I've always been an expert on, but there's basically LCS and then now they kind of have a double system at the bottom where they have challenger level and then below that, which used to be academy, and then below that now they have amateur. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first year where they had the system wherein there's like a promotion relegation system where amateur teams can qualify in to be NACL teams. They announced that this year, and that's what you took it part in, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So after going through all that stuff and qualifying into the NACL, you guys will not be able to be an NACL team. Do you want to explain a little bit about what went on whenever you guys got to that point?
Yeah, so going into the promotion relegation tournament before the summer split, we were confident that we would promote, and we were also confident that we would be able to find a sponsor to, help us out in playing in the NACL. And that was we found out that that was very hard. We reached out to basically every org that we could think of, and with NACL being such a big commitment, it's a 3 month split with 2 matches a week, and obviously you have to include scrims in that schedule. It was just very hard to get all five players to commit into that like environment with not a lot of compensation. And so we as a team just disbanded because we thought that it was not worth it to play for little to no compensation with such a big commitment.
And you, whenever you talk about the orgs that you reach out to, I think a lot of the more general LCS fans are like, oh, okay, so you reach out to like Immortals or Dignitas, but that's not what it is. You guys reach out to a whole slew of different organizations that exist at that kind of challenger and amateur level, correct?
Yeah, definitely not the LCS orgs. Obviously, they have their academy and LCS teams, but basically just the orgs that are relevant within the amateur scene. I guess some of the big ones are like Team Ambition, Supernova recently qualified.
Wild
They're
card, right?
Yeah, wild card fear, but they're already in the NACL and they
Sure.
kept their spot.
But
So
just there are like just to flag that there are existing esports orgs that are operating at this level, and what was kind of the feedback that you got when you approached these folks, or why were they not interested?
um, I was not too much of the one negotiating, but I just know that the NACL itself, there's not a lot of ROI. So there's just not a reason to, or for orgs to invest in the NACL because there's no benefit for the org, obviously. And so um, for us as players, it's a big commitment, but also for the org, it's also a big commitment because a lot of the players want a good amount of compensation for their play, and then yeah, it's just like a long season, and everything that comes behind it. It, I just know that the orgs felt as if there's like no reason to invest.
And when you say a good amount of compensation, I mean, I know that a lot of the League of Legends esports audience is prone to hearing like all these LCS pros want to make millions of dollars or something like that. You know, are you able to ballpark a little bit about like what a good amount of compensation looks like, or what pros at this level are looking for?
Yeah, so basically non-academy teams that play in the NACL, there's six of them, or I guess there were six last split. I believe the average was to be around $1,000 a month, which
Per player?
obviously compared to exactly, yes, which compared to academy players or even LCS players is very little money. But at that level, that was the around the amount that we were looking for, and orgs were not willing to invest that much money, and so yeah, that's basically what happened.
You greedy man, why do you want this money? Why do you need $1,000 a month? I mean, I asked that somewhat legitimately, not the greedy part, obviously, but why would these players that are in the NACL need some sort of compensation? Like, I don't know how much time this takes for you guys. Are you able to do other jobs? What is life like at this level of pro play?
A lot of the players at this level, I would say, are students. Um, But apart from the students, there are obviously other people that need to pay rents. And even the people in school, obviously, they need to pay for food, for rent. And playing in NACL it takes a lot of time and a lot of commitment too. Like, it's hard to, let's say these players wanted to work a regular job while playing in the NACL. I would be almost like, I would be very confident that if they were not putting in the amount of time as academy teams, for example, or the challenger teams now, they would not be able to do well at all. And in that case, there's no reason to compete at all if you're not going to be competing for the top spot, or even if you're just going to lose every single game.
Yeah.
And so if you want to play in the NACL, I believe that you need to practice very hard. You need to commit a lot of days to the week. It's like I said previously, it's 2 matches a week, and then obviously you have to include scrims in that. And because it's such a big time commitment, and there's just not a lot of time to, if someone wanted to work at another job to pay for rent, that'd be very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it requires a lot, especially for people that are students and are probably attending class and all that stuff. I understand. Do you think that this system works? This new system that they rolled out this year, that this is a functional system? Because when I look at it, I see obviously that you guys seemingly did everything you were supposed to do, that the system just asks you to do, right? Which is assemble a lineup of players, play at the amateur level, and try to be good enough to get into NACL, and then you qualified in. Then you weren't able to actually do anything. So I guess, yeah, what do you think of the system as it stands right now?
Um, the system, I think, is pretty much broken at this state. Obviously, Riot has yet to announce what they will be doing for the upcoming like 2024 season, and maybe things will be better then. But basically, with the tier two scene of League gone, which is like the challengers or academy scene, there's basically no bridge between players like myself and amateur and obviously LCS. It's very hard to go straight to LCS, straight from amateur. There's rarely any players that do that. The two that comes to my mind immediately are like Jojo Pian and Danny previously. And other than that, most people that are NA residents that play in the LCS, they go through academy. And with that system gone, people are unsure and very skeptical of what the NA league scene, like the development scene, is going to look like, because the bridge was very important for players that wanted to go to the LCS.
So as you guys are realizing that you won't be able to get a sponsor, and realizing that you did all this work and it's kind of for naught in some sense in terms of getting into the NACL, you're also seeing all this news and coverage of the teams being able to drop their academy commitments or challenger commitments, and then and then 7 out of the 10 do that. You know, I know that you said it's there's a lot of skepticism and stuff, but what has that been like for you? How have you felt about that? Because I have to imagine it is doubly discouraging.
Yeah, obviously, as a aspiring pro player, it's one of the most discouraging things you can think of. My goal, basically, I took a year off from school to, my goal was to make it to academy. Maybe not within a year. Obviously, that'd be ideal, but the goal was to make it to academy and then obviously one day in LCS. But with that gone and being unable to play on a challenger team or even the NACL itself, I'm very unsure of what the future of like my little league career has. So yeah, it's very discouraging. And for now, I plan to go back to school in the fall and play in collegiate. A lot of people think that collegiate will be like the new big thing in North America, like it'll be the new system or the way to go pro now, but like very unsure of what's going to happen. And yeah, as you said, just very discouraging. It was some hard hitting news, I must say.
Tenacity says that you should go to Europe and try to get into the ERLs. Any thoughts on that? And I you know, not to slam Tenacity or anything like that, but I've heard multiple people suggest this, that ironically the best option for North American talent might be to leave North America in an attempt to get back into the LCS. So I don't know. What do you think of folks who say stuff like that, or what do you think at least of that idea?
Um, I can agree. I think the ERL system is a lot better than the system that North America has, like the challenger scene. Unfortunately, even though it might be the best option, I don't think it's as simple as, oh, just move to Europe and go play on a team there and try to go pro that way. Moving to an entirely different country, yet continent, like is a big commitment. And also, I don't think everyone can afford to necessarily just leave America or like their home to pursue league elsewhere for something that's not guaranteed. And I also don't know if like ERL teams would be willing to import NA talent that obviously are not professionals like LCS. Um, if anything, I think it would just like it might be the best option to try to go pro, but I don't think it's as easy as people are making it out to be. That's just my thought on it.
As a North American talent who probably knows a lot of other North American talents, are you? Is there any part of you that just thinks I can't do this? Like the system won't allow it. It's time to stop even trying. Or are you talking to other people who maybe feel that way?
Um, I think that yeah, I'm not really sure what other people think, but I think generally it's very discouraging news, and people think, oh, maybe it's time to, go to school and secure a backup or anything. But the biggest problem is that players like myself, we're very like passionate and obviously committed to going pro. It's not as easy as, oh, I'm just going to drop going pro, For most of us, it's been something that we've worked for a very long time and dreamed about. So as discouraging as it is, I think until Riot like announces what the next steps are and everything in between, most people are still going to try to go pro. But it's just I think a lot of people are looking at other options and making sure that they have a backup or something else in mind just in case it doesn't work out.
Yeah. Levitate, thank you so much for doing the interview with me. I'm really disheartened to hear your story. It feels like this is not the way it should go. If you guys are able to prove that you're capable of competing, that should be at least a next step or another rung in the ladder for you on the way to LCS. So I'm really happy that you were able to share your story, even if it feels really bit of a bummer. Is there anything that you want to say to anybody out there who is, I don't know, watching all this stuff around challengers and academy and amateur and all that stuff? Anything you think people should know, or anything else you want to say?
Um, I just hope that people will continue to watch and support the development scene in North America. I think obviously imports are a big thing in North America, but North American talent is going to be crucial to the success of NA. And so I hope that people will continue to support and, be aware of these things. And yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much for the interview. Really appreciate it. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things Academy, Amateur, and more right here on my YouTube channel. Hello, thank you so much for watching that video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. That's really helpful. You know what else is helpful is just going and watching another video on the channel. It actually really does help. YouTube sees that and they go, oh my God, this is amazing. And then the last thing is, if you want to support independent coverage like this, you can click on the link below that says join, I think is what it says. And for $2.99 a month, which is not that much, you can actually become a member of the YouTube channel. You can see some videos early before they get released elsewhere. And it's just a really nice way to support. And I set the price very low because I know you guys already helped me out a ton. So if that's something you're interested in, check it out.